And we're very delighted to welcome to the studio Rita Costanzi, who is an internationally acclaimed harpist, writer, actress, and educator whose career spans concert performances in theater, film, and literature, a two-time winner of the American Harp Society National Competition, and a graduate of no less a school than the Eastman School of Music. Rita, welcome to our program.
Thank you, Steve. It's a real honor to be here. Thank you.
And where are you talking from today?
From my home in the Bronx.
Bronx, yes. We'll talk about the Bronx. Now, Rita, earlier this year, you performed excerpts from a piece you wrote called Woman on a Ledge. And I will just tell the audience that this is, you've created really a new genre, or certainly a very unusual one for you. It's a one-woman program that you perform speaking, but also with the harp leaning on your shoulders. You said in one interview, the harp has always been leaning on your shoulder most of your life. You're giving performances where you're playing the harp and also telling a story. And that was what you gave excerpts of Woman on a Ledge with Carnegie. Tell us a little bit about that piece and how you developed this concept.
So just a minor correction, Woman on a Ledge, the script is by Hershey Felder. I did not write the stage piece, but it's based on my writing, the writing of my story of my life, which turned into a memoir. And in 2015, I met Hershey Felder, and he really felt that my story was an important one, and he didn't feel he could produce the script I was doing at the time. And he said, I want to write for you, and your story's an important story to tell. And so over many years, we developed the script, and then COVID hit, and he went to Italy, and I stayed here and continued working on it. Premiered it at my classical festival in Topeka, Kansas. Did a 12-show run off Broadway here in New York, and now perform it wherever I'm invited. It's the story of my life where I act, storytell, and underscore with harp playing, and it's a full-length dramatic piece. And this is what we think, that it's making history, because we don't know of a one-woman show with a full dramatic script that's ever been done before.
Well, tell us. I guess it's a biography of your life, but still, tell us a bit about the piece, about Woman on a Ledge. What is it about?
Yes, it's about a girl whose father is a famous violist and professor of viola at the Eastman School of Music, and she grows up with this famous, name, and goes to college and meets the love of her life. And this drama of being a woman, a wife, a mother, an artist, a performing artist, and always the conflicts, always being torn between, fulfilling the needs of the husband, the children, the harp. And there's never any happiness. I mean, there's never any peace, because it all three never work out at the same time. In fact, I quote a famous harpist in the middle of the script where she says, I can get 2 out of the 3, but not all 3 to go. And the ending is quite heartbreaking, because I was divorced. Finally, he was my first and only love, my husband. And I divorced, and, suddenly was trying to live life on my own. And so it's interesting, because Hershey has really understood the artist I am, and he was the catalyst for the award-winning film I did, for this stage play, and for my recently self-published memoir, which is called The Strings of My Heart.
The Streets of My Heart?
The Strings of My Heart, yes.
And that's a book we can all purchase?
Yes.
So let's write that down. The Strings of My Heart.
It looks like this.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
now let's talk a little bit about the documentary. It's an award-winning documentary called Moonlight in the Bronx. Now, you said that Hershey, and for those who don't know, Hershey Felder has been performing one-man shows where he portrays composers. When I met him in 2007, he was doing his Gershwin program, and he was in Chicago where I was running the radio station there, and it had been on for 6 or 7 months, and I never went. So I finally went, and I introduced him. I said, "Oh, Mr. Felder, I'm Steve Robinson," and he said, "What took you so long?"
Yes.
Literally a few weeks later, we did a nationwide live broadcast on July 3rd of that program.
Wonderful. He's
We were
amazing.
We were very close up until then. So he was the inspiration for Moonlight in the Bronx, but did he work with you on it?
So this is COVID, and he's gone to Italy. I haven't heard from him in months. And one day I get an email. I'm running a competition, and I want you to try it. Give yourself a chance, because he knew I was starving, and I'm here, and there's no work, and I'm closing the computer, going, he's crazy. Competitions are for young people. They're not for people my age. And as I'm closing the computer, this illumination appears before me. The assignment for the film was it had to have something to do with Beethoven. That was it. You could sing, you could dance, you could play, you could do whatever you want, but it had to have something to do with Beethoven. Now, the only Beethoven I've ever played is the slow movement of the Moonlight Sonata. And as I'm closing the computer, I'm remembering what I saw outside my window one night at 1 a.m. 15 ambulances silently processing towards the social hospital. Of course, you know the drama that was going on here in New York during COVID, and the deaths, and I wrote the script, and this whole thing just appeared before me. And then my friends were saying, okay, so I said, I've never made a film before. And they said, well, just film it on your cell phone. And I said, no, I teach my students you don't bring mediocrity to the stage. So I borrowed the money and hired a filmmaker to shoot me. And then we edited, and the great miracle was when we put my script, which was recorded separately with the video, it all lined up. It was really amazing. And it was one of 5 that Hershey chose as the 5 finalists. It was shown around the world, and people voted afterward. This was after his Beethoven show, and it won.
Amazing. I was a little surprised when I asked you if you knew who Hershey Felder was. Suddenly, you not only knew you've worked with him. So that's amazing. Now, the film Moonlight in the Bronx, which I saw this morning, it's very beautiful. It's available on YouTube. Is that right? Is that the whole piece on YouTube?
Yes. There was a 5-minute stipulation Hershey made. It had to be about Beethoven, and it could only be 5 minutes. And somehow it just worked.
Yeah. Well, I urge anybody to go see it. It's called Moonlight in the Bronx. It's on YouTube, and you all know how to get to YouTube. And you also, I understand, did a recording called AMOROSO with an oboist who I knew.
Really?
When he was, I feel like we're old friends, Rita. The only thing is I don't know you yet, but I knew everybody else in your life.
You know everybody else connected to me, yes.
So this is a piece that you did with oboist Alex Klein. When I knew him, he was with the Chicago Symphony.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah. So tell us about AMOROSO and oboist Alex Klein with over 1 million streams, I see.
Over 4 million streams.
Oh, 4 million.
Since it's 1 million in its couple million in its first year, but now it's been over 4 million, which is unbelievable for a classical CD. But of course, Alex is this icon of the oboe. I met Alex in 2005 at a festival in northwestern Canada. And when we met, there was this immediate recognition. And he heard me play, and then he snuck in one day and watched me teach. Sat down next to me at lunch and said, Rita, I want to invite you to Brazil. I want you to spearhead the Harp program at my festival, which is called FEMUS, the largest classical festival in Latin America. So I had the great privilege of going down to Brazil all these years in January. And there was a donor in the city who bought 4 harps I did the recital, I met him, and he said, you know, I think we should buy 12 more, and one especially for you. Well, I didn't get the specially for me, but we did get the 12 more harps. And Alex was determined to build harp in Brazil and in Latin America because it had been the kids were struggling. You know, there was import taxes. They didn't have instruments. It was really, really sad. And so I worked and worked and we worked, and he and I, meanwhile, were playing together at the festival and discovered we had this absolute, you know, we made love when we played. And so one day he asked me, he said, Rita, I would like to record with you. And neither one of us had the money or anything, but I thought, I'm going to just borrow the money and we're going to do this. And we recorded it at our festival in Topeka, Kansas, the Sunflower Festival, because they have a state-of-the-art auditorium and recording facility. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey with him.
Well, this is a piece called Amoroso with oboist Alex Klein, the very wonderful Alex Klein. And that is available, I'm sure, on Spotify.
Yes, that is available on all the platforms as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is the music on it?
So these are short, romantic French, Italian, Spanish pieces. My favorite, I asked, you know, Alex is an incredible, he did a transcription for me of the slow movement of the Rodrigo guitar concerto, Aranjuez, and it's gorgeous. It's the longest piece on the album, and the other pieces are by Fauré, Debussy, Piazzolla. Everything that he and I loved playing together is on this album.
Yeah. Well, Rita, it's a delight to talk with you. And I just need to ask you what's in the future? What plans are percolating? Because I'm as little as I know you, I would guess that there's some things percolating.
Well, at my time of life, it's interesting, this transition after divorce, and where I withdrew for a while, Steve. And the author Gail Sheehy speaks about this in her book Passages and Pathfinders. And when she traces the biographies of some of the major political leaders like Churchill, Sadat, de Gaulle, and I'm going to add Nelson Mandela to the list, they had a period of withdrawal, retreat. Some were incarcerated. And then they emerged and they performed their greatest deeds in their life and political careers. And I have now, it took me a long time, but I have now healed. And I just performed Woman on a Ledge in Vancouver to a sold out audience. And it's amazing the number of women that are sobbing in my arms afterward, who tell me, thank you for being willing to be so vulnerable. Thank you for telling your story. I'm going to be doing it next month in Toronto at the Toronto International Harp Festival. And then I'm in Poland in August, now inaugurating the new teaching that I'm doing. It's a retreat outside of Krakow called The Open Window. And what's needed now as I emerge, I call it emergence in transcendence. Now that I've healed and I've grown and I've deepened, I have something very important to give the world. And it's a question of finding the right people who can produce and back the work that I'm doing. So we'll see.
Well, you have a very exciting future. Your projects are amazing. And I wish you the best of luck with everything you do. And we'll hopefully stay in touch. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
My name is Rita Costanzi, and I am 65 years old. I live in the Bronx, New York, and for most of my life, a harp has leaned against my shoulder. The story I am about to tell you is true. A view from a room, Moonlight in the Bronx. in memory of Ludwig van Beethoven and the Corona dead. An eerie stillness settles over the Bronx as a tiny, invisible virus, a crown on its head, brings the entire world to its knees as it silently, swiftly, relentlessly spreads illness and death. Its only weapon is fear, the deadliest weapon of all. As I sit at my harp in this top-floor apartment, sirens erupt every 5 minutes, puncturing the music, the outer stillness, and my heart. The streets below and the sky above are empty. Separation and isolation are not foreign to me. After a devastating divorce, I retreated into my own cocoon of dark despair, dying to all I had ever known, wondering if life was worth living. And now, during Holy Week, at 1 a.m., I am drawn to the large bay window in my bedroom to view the supermoon and pray. And there, below me, a slow, solemn, silent procession of 15 ambulances with lights flashing suddenly appears, streaming towards the social hospital. No, not rushing and wailing to save the living. The dead can wait, and the dead are waiting, piled in body bags in the hospital's corridors to be carried to their final destinations, the overflowing morgues, crematoriums, funeral homes, and, if too poor or unclaimed, to the open grave and mass burial site on Hart Island, just a few miles away. In marked white boxes, they will be respectfully lowered into the ground by prison inmates. Before me, just outside my window, the pale, pink supermoon, close enough to touch, stares wisely and knowingly at me, at the scene below, and upon a whole world. A world in quiet desperation. In my life, I have experienced heightened awareness that is the opposite of isolated and alone. It is all one. And in all oneness, we can feel that spark of genius that we are, that Beethoven was, suffering the torture of his own isolation through deafness. Today, he brings a message of such hope, comfort, and inspiration to a devastated world enveloped in his anguish. I would have ended my life, he wrote in a letter never sent. It was only my art that held me back. Ah, it seemed impossible to leave the world until I had brought forth all that I felt was within me. And isn't this our task now? To learn a love we have never known, to be a love whose compassion holds us in all oneness, bringing out the best we feel within us. I, the palliative harpist, pluck the strings of Beethoven's pain, of the world's and mine, on my gold-crowned harp, accompanying the Corona dead as they journey through the stars. I hear their voices calling, remember, like Beethoven, to not leave the world until you have brought forth all that you felt was within you.